So your teams all get organized. This is an actual military operation. I believe the first time that almost all of you have been involved in one, except for Jim. Jim has been in this sort of thing before. Otherwise, this is definitely a fresh little slice of hell. The area is just completely doused with all sorts of toxic chemicals that are currently being negated by or dressed by different members of the hazmat crew that showed up. They're kind of set up protective areas to try to contain the pollution of Avicii. It is a big problem because even if you win and all this breaks out and then spreads to the nearby cities, I mean, it could be a nightmare. You are dealing with the highest level threat I think you've ever dealt with in the game's history. This is a very, very, very dangerous opponent. As your groups are all being set up, you also have radio communications between the different squadrons so that you can try to radio for help, and also you will be using that for calling in summons. In the distance, you can actually see that there are vehicles making their way here. Some of them are military vehicles. One of them is a monster truck. Some of them are just regular civilian vehicles, but they are quickly trying to make their way through the rough, craggy landscape of the moon. Avicii, who is now fully unfolded and revealed his crystalline body, kind of flexes his wings and then spreads them out. From tip to tip, he is long enough to strike at any of your groups if he focuses. There are also additional black arms of glass that just terminate not in hands but in spikes that emerge from his body. It's growing multiple limbs, 4, 5, 6. They emerge as if they were unrolling out of his body, as if he were just a constant wave of these things. His entire exterior is shifting, cracking, breaking, shattering, and then reforming, such that reality itself seems to be highly, highly unstable in his presence. And then you all die.
Oh,
dang.
Rip.
No, it's okay. Jersey comes out, resets it for us.
All right, lining up with your groups, getting ready for the fight. Remember, on your turn, you can either choose to roll against Avicii or you can add a summon to your group by spending a fate point. It is up to you. Theory team, what do you want to do before the actual firefight breaks out?
It seems like the first order of business is break down the barriers, whether it's by explosives.
This is Stone Sour's field of expertise. Give me a Stone Sour roll. 3. I will say that with that roll, you can give the barrier team a +1 to their next roll. It's hard to crack for them, for your team right now, because you're just starting out. You don't understand everything quite yet. But Stone Sour is your man for exploding things. He spots a certain resonance weakness within the barriers and communicates that. Barrier team, you're up next. You are facing down what look like large, big rings of glass that are expanding out from him. In order for you can see soldiers firing, but none of the bullets can get through these glass barriers. They just reform. So it's up to you to break these down.
Marina just starts to pull out her explosives and then look at you two.
You two is gonna go ahead and give her a thumbs up and just go, how big are those explosions? How far do we need to be away?
They were meant to take down the ship.
Okay, yeah, check those sons of bitches then.
They will need to be set up. They probably need to be set up against the barriers.
Okay, well, I guess leave enough for each ring. I don't know how many we're gonna have to cut through. So yeah, I'll run.
That's
the
a
barrier
6
team.
of the bonus. That's Simone just gave you the advantage. Now Avicii's gonna roll. He is not yet attacking. It seems like he's still flexing. With an 8. So you will need to invoke if you want to meet that.
So let's invoke multitasking, working on setting up the bombs.
So with Rich's help, because he can take the bombs to different locations and be coordinated about it, he actually is able to overcome the strength of the initial barrier and set up Marina's bombs. Marina, when you detonate them, you do see one of the 8 glass barriers shatter from the force of the explosions and how they were set up. It would be according to like what your plan is, because you're the explosive expert. So you are successful in knocking down one barrier right now. Good job.
Nice.
We did it, team.
Control team. As Avicii is rising up, he is starting to spawn these black glass humanoids. They are not like the blank. Well, they sort of are like the blank men in that they're mindless shamblers, but they're way quicker. And they are spreading out to try and attack your fellow squadrons. It's up to you to keep them in line and fuck them up as well as you can. So
Control team will focus on slowing them down with Sugar Ray.
passive opposition to this is 4. So Sugar Ray is an expert at freezing his environment, and he creates a huge field that spreads out underneath these emerging glass men and causes them to begin to slip, slide, crack, all of that. Like, he has created a very, very nice advantage. On your next roll, you will get a +4
Nice.
from creating advantage and from succeeding with style. Okay, support team. Nobody is injured right now, but you do have the ability to help to create advantages, to spread anti-radioactive measures, to move somewhere if you want to get somewhere closer to help a team that you think is going to be targeted. It's up to you. Your team is very coordinated, quick, and fast. You are lightning quick because you recognize what it's like to deal, I guess, with the fallout of war, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you know what to do. On whoever takes their next defensive roll against the effects of radiation will get a +4 to that. And then finally, the fire team. Nia, you'll notice Avicii, when you look at him and stare at him for long enough, his part of his form will actually stop shifting around as much.
Mia's big time will pop out and she'll like start to wipe her eyes a lot and be like, does anyone else see that? And then she'll like try to take her Moby over to Kev and like point it out. Can you shoot there?
What? The hell? Yeah, sure. Everyone, realign the cannons. We have new information here. Make it double pronto. We cannot screw up. Give me a roll, Nia, against the passive opposition of 4. So you create a +2 advantage because you're going to want to build these up over the course of the fight so that when you do take your shot, you just nail it really hard. Avicii is going to begin acting. Once he sees that everybody is making their moves on him, attacking his barrier, trying to fight his forces, he is going to inhale and then throw his head up to the sky and spit out a green cloud that causes an acid rain to fall surrounding him. This is going to be an attack at all forces as he unleashes his corrosive interior fluids. Ugh, what a fun thing to say. So you will need to beat a +7 with whatever way you want to defend it in order to avoid taking damage from this. Theory team, there's acid rain incoming. Which one of you is smart enough to figure out the best way to get around that?
Acid is kind of, I want to say it's a life science, actually. But
You could spin the rain as it's incoming. That could be what
Yeah.
you do to defend your group. The 5. So you can invoke if you want, or you can just take the 2 acid burns. I mean, you are protecting your team.
yeah, I'll just take it for now.
And you and Lewis are like slightly burned. Stone Sour is okay. Breaker team, you have to avoid this acid rain that's coming in.
Feel like Marina would probably just dig a hole for us to hide in.
5. Same result. You take 2 injuries if you like. Like, you're able to slip in there, but you are able to avoid a bulk of the acid rain. Control team, what would you like to do? Yeah.
Yes, Jim will try to armor everyone up.
Yeah, you defend the shit out of your team. You actually managed to splash some of that acid towards the ice that's been growing and create an even more dangerous condition for the glassmen that are coming towards you. It's like now melting, sloshy, and refreezing around their feet as they're walking. So
Nice.
let's see. Support team, you are flying around currently when this acid rain is falling.
Can Marisol just attempt to, like, since acid is still a liquid, just kind of like direct the acid away from the team, or at least try to?
You manage to blast away that acid, the liquid. It just ripples away in a big wave. Like, you just burst your ripple strength. Pretty hardcore shit. And finally, fire team. Nia, you're focused on this, but you're in control of the fire team, so you can decide who deals with the acid the bestest.
I guess Bloody Valentine can also spin.
Sure, you see him just lift the ring above his head and begin to spin it around really quickly above his head, causing like a big fucking like shift in the flow around you guys. The 5.
Probably should just take the damage for now.
Okay, Simone, your team taking some damage, but you can theorize. What would you like to help theorize on now?
Structure of glass falls in a tetrahedron. Tetrahedron kind of falls into the golden ratio, and I was thinking you spin to kind of figure out the perfect angle for the barrier team to move and attack at its weakest point.
Golden ratio is what guides living things. This is like almost like anti-life in a lot of ways. The forces that are going on here are very, very difficult to lock down the golden ratio on. I would say if you want to do that, it's going to require a Simone roll, and the difficulty is going to be a 6.
Yeah, I kind of want to invoke her expert in life sciences.
So when you invoke and find the golden ratio on Avicii, what you find is almost the antithesis. This is what you see is basically the manifestation of what the Twisted Nerf people worship and center their whole spin style around. This is like it's the anti-golden ratio. It's like it's a spiral is what is going on here. You can work to counteract that with this thing that you're doing. It's only one thing you can do once a scene. It's basically a stunt, but I'll allow you to do it. You can give one team double the shifts on the next thing they succeed on.
I don't have to use it right away or anything.
He does have an amorphous form, like it's shifting. It's always shifting. So you may have it now. That's something you may lose if you take damage, if your team has to move around too much. It's a very precise thing. Sooner you use it, the better.
I honestly want to get this barrier down quick, so barrier breaker team.
Barrier breaker team. You have received information from Simone, kind of her read of the situation, and she has given you those details that you can break the barrier in a certain way if you do it here at this exact location, even at this speed. That's what the golden ratio is. It's difficult to understand, but for someone like Marina, maybe she can like take in that information quickly. She's used to demolition. She is an engineer, right? Marina, this would be similar to like a fragile mining situation where you can't always strike in the same place with the same amount of force. Sometimes you have to like shift around to get the result that you want. Otherwise, you're just going to cause a cave-in. Like you've gotten that level of detail about where you should be breaking the barrier.
Oh, nice. Marina does some mental calculation and tries to find the weakest point of the barrier to start digging there as hard as she can and like work her way around the fragile point.
One of the incoming forces, you see at the perimeter a parade of robots. Lewis's robotic forces from the Cadillac Ranch have begun to make their way towards the area. It's just a huge assortment of them, all different shapes and sizes. One of them is holding up a giant banner, rather, that has the words "mommy" written on it, and then they've been X'd out, and then there's just beneath it, smaller letters, "father." There's a collection of about 40 of them in total. Thunk and Thonk, rather, are at the front of the robotic collection, but there is also the knight. I wish Jim was here. The Squire bot that he was training is there. The wizard robot is there. The one that you guys solved the riddle for, and the robot that you fixed, Simone. I don't know if you remember. You like took the extra time to fix the hole in its chest. Like they're all there, and it's there with like a bright, shiny, very polished chest that's like proudly has a Go Simone painted on it. They're mostly for moral support right now, but they can join the fray as an added unit. The robots are here to help.
Go robots.
Are there any medical team bots?
Yeah, absolutely. There are doctor bots that have come.
Hell yeah.
So wherever you want to put them, they have different buffs that they can give to a team. If you do want to add them to a team, it's going to take your turn, though. These are just the general robo-rabble. Daybreaker is in the distance, though. You can see the giant robot marching.
For right now, I think we're just going to kind of keep going with what worked so far and have the Riches plant explosives for Marina to detonate.
Simone gave you a buff where you can double the shifts done if you succeed on this, and then